Greetings, everyone. This is Gerard, editor-in-chief of Filipino Soul Magazine, aka S.G.I.B magazine. That stands for Soldiers Got Intentions Believeda, because everyone should be soldiering for something. A dream, a goal, an idea, a train of thought, something. And on the PBG's Productions, that stands for Photos by Gerard, the best in freelance publicity photography. And CEO of the Beryl Corporation, which stands for Be Ever Remembering Your Love. And that is my not-for-profit entity. Of course, you can see my videos on Filipino Soul Magazine on YouTube. You can go to S.G.I.B Mag, M-A-G, on TV, / the G-E-E spot. I know I had said that I was going to give you an idea about the magazines and tell you the history of the magazine. So why don't I jump right into that, about the magazines, right? And I'll talk about my other experiences as a photographer and share some of the imagery there. The person you're looking at now, her name is Beryl, which is named after my company, my corporation, the Beryl Corporation. Beryl was a nurse. She was the head nurse at a hospital called Stony Brook Hospital in Long Island, New York. She was head in the surgical nursing department. In other words, she was a really high up, respected nurse. She knew all the surgeons and all the doctors. They often referred to her for some input into what was happening because she was so knowledgeable. She also ended up with an addiction to prescription drugs. And once it was found out that she was addicted to prescription drugs, they gave her an option to be prosecuted or either take an early retirement. That's a no-brainer if you ask me. So she chose to take an early retirement. Beryl and I had met at a NA meeting, which is a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. And we hit it off and we started seeing each other. And once I started to decide that I was going to put my magazine together, she became an invaluable asset to me. She was not only a nurse, but she was very knowledgeable about music. She also played an instrument. She was a Pink Floyd fanatic, you know, and she became my source of resources, and she edited mostly everything I've done, and she was just she just helped me tremendously. She didn't want to get paid. She didn't want nothing. She wanted to help me pursue my dream, my goal of launching a magazine. And she was terminally ill. She's Jewish, and I guess how it was explained to me, her mother and father both had a bad set of genes, is the best way to say it. And her son didn't ever want to get tested because he didn't want to know if he still carried the same genes. But she ultimately became weaker and weaker and weaker. I spoke to her the last time I was in New York, or the time before that, and she was very ill. She was hospitalized in hospice. So what happened, I don't know. But she was a tremendous help in the resources of the magazine. Now this here was the first magazine I decided to put out. I had open mic night. I had a Guess Whose Lips, because you see pictures of lips right there. And this was the logo for Kiss FM radio station. Kiss FM, I had went to them with the idea of putting together a magazine, and they liked the magazine. His name was Anthony something, some Italian name. He was the station manager. And we had agreed to network together through advertisement, etc., to put the magazine out. But he later got transferred. He was with Ennis Corporation, and Ennis had owned a lot of radio stations across the country, and he got transferred to Texas. But by that time, I had already started putting the magazine out, and I took money. Once I take money on a project, I fulfill myself. I fulfill that project. I don't care if it's $1. I don't care if it's $1,000. But once I get money on something, I go through with it. And sometimes, and the fact that I didn't get, if there was time when I don't get money, then I'm under no pressure or no obligation to put the magazine out. This artist here, his manager came to me, his name was S.G.I.B, and said that he wanted him to be on the cover of the magazine. So I said, okay, fine. He said he would pay me $300 for the magazine cover. I said, fine. Lo and behold, that was the first check I got for my magazine, and it was the first. I should have read the writing on the wall. The check bounced. you know what I'm saying? So I never really got paid for that. I also had Job Searcher in this magazine. Job Searcher I substitute that for my fashion section, photographing beautiful girls or whatever. I decided to highlight girls who were looking for jobs, who were teenagers and whatever, with their parents' consent, because I don't photograph anybody underage without their parents' consent. And it was like during the summertime, so then I would photograph them, not anything scantily clad or anything, just photograph them and put them in the page of Job Searcher. One girl who I put in Job Searcher was the youth advisor for a church organization that these girls had just, these teenagers had just graduated high school, and it was the last summer before they attended college. And the mothers had got together and decided that they were going to create some type of curriculum for their children over the summer to keep their minds active and fresh before they went to college. I was also youth advisor for the NAACP. I've done a number of work with the youth once I got out of prison, because I decided that although I wanted another child, I decided I didn't want to bring another child, that there was enough children in this world that I can probably help, and that would placate my desire to want to have a child. What is this? It was a group about 5 girls and 3 guys, and the girls were they were from the island, Haiti, Barbados, or something like that, and very prissy, with the little big hoop gold earrings, very hair done perfect, everything in place. And there was one girl there who was tall, and you could tell she was awkward in her own body. Oftentimes when you see tall children, they oftentimes want to walk humped over, because they probably picked that for their height and wanted to not be so obvious around their friends, so they end up standing, slouching. And so I noticed that she had poor self-esteem. So I had said to her, I said, would you like to be in my magazine and Job Searcher? She said, yes. So I said, okay. So I photographed her, nothing serious, her just, and wrote about her little background in Job Searcher. And when the magazine came out, she was so excited. And her mother had told me, Gerard, that magazine changed her life, her being in the magazine. She had so much self-pride and so much value, so much self-worth in herself that it carried through till this day. She later on became a doctor, and I still keep in touch with the family. And she said, Gerard, when I saw her, when I saw mother, she said, Gerard, she's a doctor now. But she said in her office, she still has that page from your magazine. So when you ask someone, what is the value of my magazine, when it's pursuing people who's following their dreams and their goals, well, you have to say that, the value of it is not only passing on the knowledge of how you can achieve yours, but also putting people in a magazine that will never, ever, 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 ever be in a magazine. There's one more story, and then we're going to talk about the magazine. And there was this one girl who was a stripper, and the name of the bar was called Stonehenge, and it was in West Babylon, New York. And he was like, Howard, God bless him, he believed in me. It's wonderful when people believe in you. And he said, Gerard, whatever you want to do in my bar, you can. Whatever you want to do. I had pool tournaments there. I had this talent there, and etc. But each time the magazine came out, I would highlight one of their girls. And this one girl named Honey, she was thick. Now, when you say thick, you don't mean fat. You mean thick. Thick like maybe the women of the 30s and 40s would consider beautiful. They weren't this twiggy, real thin little, girls that we see today who are considered as high fashion models. We're talking about the thick, robust woman that was thick. And she appeared in my magazine, and I saw her about 4 years later, and she said, Gerard, I can't say, yes, baby, how are you? She said, look, and she opened her magazine, her purse, and she pulled out my magazine that was so frail, so ginger. She had tape everywhere, and she turned to the page. She said, look, I still got it. I said, oh, baby. I don't know if I started to cry and tears in my eyes, but I was so deeply touched that it meant so much to her. So anyway, in this issue, I also had Barbershop. A barbershop was a column that I would just pop into any barbershop and just say, hey, look, I'm going to put you a barbershop in the magazine. I would talk to them, take a picture of them in front of their shop, ask them questions about whatever's happened during the day in their neighborhood and etc. So barbershop became a very popular feature. And of course, my 2 cents on 50 cents. I still had the contacts I had in the industry thanks to Vonny, Hilton, Sweeney, and we know if there's a heaven up above, she's teaching people how to network. Because what's funny, Vonny was the, you're going to see some stuff with her later. Vonny was the manager of the Godfather soul, Mr. James Brown, also editor-in-chief of his magazine called The Truth. And up until then, I was the East Coast representative of that magazine, and you'll see some of those pictures too down the line, where I had celebrities holding this magazine. My most interesting one is Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx was coming out of a radio station and getting his limousine. I said, Mr. Foxx, can I take a picture of you holding Mr. Brown's magazine? And he was getting the car first. He said, no. I said, it's the Godfather soul, Mr. James Brown. He got his limousine and took a picture of the magazine. But it was upside down. Here, gave it to me and ran. So it's wonderful when you're working on something with someone that people recognize. I have a picture of Donald Trump and his wife, Melania, taken at the VH1 Fashion Awards. That was the power of the camera. That's the power. See, that's what I enjoyed more than anything else, is that no matter who they were, how rich they were, how famous they were, that when I take that camera and get close and say, look, can I take the picture? They stop everything and they give me their time for that split second. I don't care if I say, jump on your head and pat your stomach, or pick up this girl, or whatever. They do it. They do it. And that's the power that I had with my camera. So he was going upstairs. I said, Mr. Trump, can I take a picture of you and your wife? And he said, sure. And he stopped and gave me the picture. You see it on my Facebook. So anyway, open mic night had something to do with a falsetto named Chris Curry. If you don't know who Chris Curry is, you need to Google him. He has a business called So You Want to Be a Star. Chris Curry is a falsetto that's often used in a lot of the soul groups to perform, like Blue Magic, Ray Goodman and Brown, Black Ivory. Wherever they need that falsetto, Chris was there. Well, Chris was also one of my go-to artists that when I was having events and what have you, I would have him come and perform, and man, he would turn the crowd out. So anyway, let's move on. Let's see. Okay, 14. Okay, my next issue has something to do with, again, Chris Curry, So You Want to Be a Star. This one had Bone Thugs and Harmony. I interviewed them, and they were setting the record straight. I also had Frank, CEO of the Heritage Network, which is a big coup for me, as well as Barbershop again in Huntington. But what made this cover even more interesting, this artist, I wanted to put a white artist on the magazine, because I never wanted to be, you know, pigeonholed and it being any one thing. So his name is Big B. So I got Big B. I took him on a railroad track, and I photographed him with the train behind him doing this or whatever. But the interesting thing is that people came to me and told me, said, Gerard, we don't want to see no more white people on your magazine. I said, wait a minute, what you say? You don't want to see no more people on whose magazine? He said, your magazine. I said, exactly, my magazine. I put who I want on my magazine. Now, it was a big coup for him too, because he never had any ever belief that he would be on the cover of the magazine. Now, when I started the magazine, I called it S.G.I.B, and it stands for Strong G Island Biz, because Long Island was considered as Strong Island. So I had that's why I named it a Strong G Island Biz, and I had the music notes through there. It wasn't until later that it was told to me that Strong G Island Biz was too regional. I need to appeal to more of the world and not confine myself to Long Island, which made sense. But I had already named it S.G.I.B magazine. So I said, okay, how can I change S.G.I.B Strong Island Biz into something else? And then that's when I came up with Soldiers Got Intentions Believeda. Okay, see, Believeda is a term used, in it's just a term. Believe that, and the term believe that. And a Soldiers Got Intentions Believeda mean that if you are pursuing something, if you're going after a goal, if you're going after a dream, you should go at it as a soldier who's going after to conquer its enemy on whatever field you are placed to perform. So soldiers, when you are on your quest to follow your dream, you're soldiering for that dream. You are committed to that dream. You are dedicated to that dream, just like a soldiers got intentions. Yes, they got intentions. I got intentions to be the best that I can be. I got intentions to want to, to achieve my goal. I got intentions to make it. Believe that. Believe that. So that's where I believe that came in. So that's the story of that cover. This next cover here, by this time I had changed. I don't know, this one is John Lee Hooker Jr. If you don't know who John Lee Hooker is, he's one of the greatest blues performers there is. He plays the guitar, and you got to watch John Lee Hooker. And when I'm not even gonna try it. I'm not even gonna try it. But John Lee Hooker, his son was. It says the son of the blues legend becomes first crime fighter with animated video. Blues ain't nothing but a pimp. So I got John Lee Hooker, which is a good coup for me. Also in this issue, I was on assignment with From Rags to Riches, which is Alex the Destroyer Stewart. And for you boxing fans, you know who Alex the Destroyer Stewart was. He was heavyweight champ. And his story is also fascinating. And in spite of him being a championship, he worked at some type of factory or whatever. But he never wanted to leave that environment, or he went back to that environment because it's his roots, and he enjoyed work. Some people are company men, I guess. So you can say he was a company man, and that's where he wanted to be. So, and he always still called the champ, all that stuff. And also on this one, I had New Orleans Reggie Houston. I had went to the Pacific Northwest, and I interviewed Reggie Houston. Reggie Houston played with my brother-in-law's band, Norman Sylvester, the Boogie Cats. You need to look up the Boogie Cats in Sylvester. He's married to Paula Sylvester, who is the sister to the mother of my kids. But if you can go and look up the Boogie Cats and listen to the Pacific Northwest Sound, you will see the Pacific Northwest Sound is a combination of blues and the speakeasy. I think it's New Orleans. It has a New Orleans flavor to it. The blues is a very unique sound that the Pacific Northwest has, and if you get a chance, you need to listen. So I interviewed him too as well. And also I had a comment in there called No Comment. I still have it today, No Comment. And No Comment I got from the news, European news, where they would have no comment and it would just show you stuff that was happening around the world. And so that's why I decided to put in my magazine No Comment, that just had pictures of what it was that I attended in between the magazines. And this one here, I was at the VH1 Hip Hop Honor Awards on the red carpet. And it says, no comment. Really, if you see them, tell them that you saw them in S.G.I.B magazine. I also added on the Hip Hop Urban Raw The Truth, a photographer's magazine. Now the reason I say that, because hip hop in 1998, I remember that year exactly because I was in my last year in prison for selling drugs, and I was reading everything except a photography magazine. I should have read a photographer magazine because I would have known that the digital age had come about, and I wouldn't have, just got out and got a conventional camera film, and but anyway, that's another story. But I had read that hip hop had just surpassed the most popular genre in the world, which is music. So that's why I know that. So hip hop is paying homage to that genre, to that music genre. Urban because it's another product manifested from the streets. There are no big corporations coming. There's nobody, who pumping a lot of money into my magazine. There's it's just you and me. And that's it. Just you and me. Now I want to back up a little bit. When I launched the magazine, or when I put the magazine together, I was severely taken advantage of by a sister. She was a designer, and she was recommended to me, and I told her I wanted to do a magazine and wanted her to lay it out, because I didn't know much about, a lot of the programs or what have you at that time. So she said, okay. She charged me $2,000, to put to lay out the magazine each month. I made a mistake of putting a monthly magazine out without no advertisement. So if you ever think about putting something out, think about maybe I would have started out quarterly or annually, but I wouldn't jump into monthly with no advertisement. That was another major mistake I made. Well, once we laid out the magazine like this with the name, title, whatever it is, you have a shell. It's a shell. The magazine is designed. And every month she wanted to charge me $2,000. I said, wait a minute, Sydney. I said, it's laid out. You don't have to design it anymore. She said, yes, but you agreed to pay me $2,000 in issue. I said, yes, you took advantage of my naivete. I didn't think I was going to have to pay you $2,000 for something you've already created every month. And so, although she decided to take me to court, which is fine. I paid her what I owed her. But it left a bad flavor in my mouth because she had really taken advantage of me. I didn't know that it was just once you design it, that's all you had. You had just like Harper Bazaar or Vogue or Cosmopolitan. Once you have a format, you don't need nobody to pay them to redesign the magazine because it's already designed. You just fill it. So that's when I learned how to do it myself. Okay. So anyway, I also have a local band. I would have a high profile artist, and then I would have someone local in there too as well. Okay. Raw simply means just what it is. It's raw. What you see is what you get. I'm not airbrushing nothing. I'm not. I'm not doing 2 takes just like this. I'm doing 1 take. That's it. Whatever happens. So So, which leads me up to this, that, when I first got involved on the internet, I was going to pay someone to design my website. So what he did was he came over and he showed me websites and all that stuff and whatever. I thought, oh, wow, because I want to put my work on the internet. And so I asked him, I said, do you have a website? He says, yeah. I said, can I see it? He said, yeah. So he pulled this website with all this lingerie, these beautiful girls posing for their, in their scarcely clad attire, And so I said to him, I said, did you take these pictures? He said, no. I said, where'd you get these pictures from? He said, I got them off the internet. Get out. Because as a photographer, that's why I write a lot of times on my pictures, because it's my way of ensuring that they won't be copied. If you like a photograph of mine that much that you want to take the time and airbrush the writing out and all that stuff, you deserve it. But I'm not going to give it to you. And so I learned then that, that copywriting was important to me. The truth, hip hop, urban, raw, the truth, the roof. The truth is the name of the Godfather soul. Mr. James Brown magazine that Vonny Sweeney was the editor-in-chief of, I just told you about. So that to me encompasses that era of all those who were part of the pre-Grammy party. And that's why you got to remember, I put my magazine together to show off my rich history of photography. And although there were a lot of people in digital, but they didn't have the history I have. And when I told Vonny I wanted to put the magazine together, she said, okay, Gerard. She said, call this person. So she gave me a number called, his name was Harry Wrangler. So I called Harry in New York. I said, Harry, hi, my name is Gerard. Vonny told me to give you a call. He said, Vonny? Vonny told you to give me a call? I said, yes. He says, what do you want? I said, well, I'm launching a magazine, and she thought you probably can give me some help. He said, hold on. He gave me another number called Craig Miller. Craig Miller, he said, call Craig and tell him I told you to call. The importance of networking, children. So I called Craig. I said, Craig, hi, my name's Gerard. Harry told me to give you a call. He said, okay, what do you want? He said, I'm launching the magazine. He said, say no more. He gave me a password to a website that had every artist in the world on it. It was like going to a supermarket. It told me when they were going on tour, when they're available for interviews, just everything about every artist. I mean, my God, it was overwhelming. The wealth of talent that I had at my fingertips. I had Donna Summers. I picked out the ones I liked. Okay, so anyway, Destiny's Child. All that stuff. So anyway, that's how the magazine got started. Vonny picked up that phone and saying, hey, like, that's networking. And that's something that's missing in today's generation. See, everybody wants something for something. And it shouldn't be that way. It should be that, if I have something, that's why I call myself the Prince of Wannabes. Because whatever it is you want to be, and I can help you become what you want to be, I'm going to do that. Because why would I want to stand in the way of the growth of somebody else? And we have to get back to that state of mind, of helping one another achieve, their success without always asking, well, what's in it for me? Okay? I'm going to stop right here. I'll do another one. This is Gerard, editor-in-chief of Filipino Soul Magazine, aka S.G.I.B magazine. Remember, dreams are nothing more than plans awaiting action. Never disrespect the elderly and always pull someone up. And sometimes, you'll be the only one to see your vision. And the best revenge in life is to live good. I'm living good today. I hope you are too. And if you're lucky enough to have a woman like Ali Woodson, former leader of the Temptations, would say, treat her like a lady. And ladies, if you're lucky enough to have a good man, make him feel like a king. Now, the reason I mention Ali Woodson so much, because Ali Woodson was a permanent fixture at the pre-Grammy party. He missed a few years, as much as 5 years. He missed a few years, but then he always come back home like a sparrow returning from the what do they call it? Capistrano, I think it is. And but once Ali started performing, oh my God, he was not only was he, an outstanding entertainer to watch, but he would never want to get off that stage. When he was having a good time, Ali had a good time, boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And each year, I would say, Ali, can I interview you now? He said, no, next year. And it became a running thing with him and I, next year. And what happened was that there was one time him and Charlie Wilson were performing, and they were like battling, just like rappers battle. It was the battle of the lead singers. Charlie Wilson was the lead singer of the Gap Band. Ali Woodson was the leader of the Temptations, and and they were battling. Woo, woo, and of course Ali Woodson blew him away. But to be honest, be fair to Charlie had these two big huge diamond earrings on it, and one of them fell off. So you can see Charlie trying to say, where'd that diamond go? So he was a little distracted, I gotta admit, okay? And if you don't have a dream, a goal, an idea, or train of thought, do what I used to do. Get as much as you can, as fast as you can, and go home. And I will always love you more. I'll talk to you in a minute. Peace.